Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast invading your ears and your brain, killing off as many brain cells as possible. Make more room for baseball. And just in case you don't know, we are siblings. There's not a lot of rivalry here, but every once in a while we get at each other. But we both love baseball, so we invite you to hang out with us for however long it takes. We're going to talk about a lot of baseballs, including what's been going on in Omaha. This is our thing. We're not experts by any means, but we do love the game. We love talking about it. So we thank you for joining us. Follow us on our social media pages, Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And our website is always available to you, siblingrivalrybb.com, open 24/7. So without further ado, because that's what I say all the time, even though I really don't know why. It's a crutch. It really is. Let's get this thing cranked up and running.
All right. I have to say that what is happening in Omaha is fun. There have been some great games. I think the first 6 games, 5 of those 6 games were decided by 1 run, like for the first time ever in College World Series history. So you never knew with the teams, it's like, oh, they're down, and then they come charging back. So it's been a really good series. We already have some teams eliminated, and
starting with Virginia.
Right, yeah, that was a quick exit. They had to play Florida, so that's tough. And they played TCU, which TCU is also looking to be, they're not just there, just to be there. They're there to win it, and
they luck their way in.
Exactly, they're showing it. But both of those games were 1-run games. But yeah, Virginia went home. And then there was this great game. Tennessee stayed alive by beating Stanford. Stanford was eliminated. Now that win was the first win for the Volunteers at the College World Series in 22 years. When I saw that, I had to rewind. I grabbed my remote because I'm like, did they, what? They just said, what? Since 2001, Tennessee hadn't won a game at the College World Series. Yeah, in Omaha. Wow. Crazy. Their reliever, Chase Burns, pitched 6 innings. He's the first reliever in College World Series history to have 9 strikeouts and no walks. Quinn Matthews was on the mound for Stanford. He didn't make it that far. I don't know if he was hoping to have the same. I'm sure he probably was hoping to have the same magic he had in the Super Regionals with 156 pitches and 16 Ks, but it didn't work out that way for Stanford, so they were eliminated. But that set up the matchup that maybe Tennessee fans were not excited about, and that was Tennessee versus the Tigers of LSU.
Who's already beat them once.
Yeah.
During that. Stanford was 2-out, Virginia 2-out. Tennessee beat Stanford to move on, but then they met right back up with LSU and didn't fare as well.
No, it didn't fare as well. They couldn't get past, I think it was the pitching. LSU's pitching has been really good this series, and they just couldn't get past. Now, that was kind of the theme I think of the other game that happened today, which was Oral Roberts, who was my pick. They took on the Horned Frogs of TCU. They got eliminated. They got beat 6-1, but the same thing. They could not do anything at the plate. And then there were some wacky things going on. They had a balk called. They had another balk called that wasn't a balk. It was actually a pitch clock violation. It was like nuts.
And it seemed like every time I had it on my phone so I could glance at it, but I didn't really. It seemed like every time I looked at it, TCU was to bat.
Yeah.
And kind of happened in both games. Towards the end, Oral Roberts was able to get a couple of players on base. Just like Tennessee was able to load the bases in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get anything done, and went on to lose. Both of them had that issue. So set up a couple of good matchups as we're heading towards the finals, which fires up on the 24th. It's a 3-game set.
Yeah, we're down to 4 teams, so we will see who will make it. But yeah, I think these 2 games were the first games that were really they tried to make some comebacks, but the comeback didn't happen in these games because it was a 6-1 loss for Oral Roberts and a 5-0 loss for Tennessee.
And we saw Oral Roberts come back a couple of times. We saw Tennessee come back as well to beat Stanford. So now it looks like the 2 predominant number ones throughout the season, Wake Forest and LSU, will match up. LSU, 1 loss away from elimination, and the same thing for TCU as they're going to be taking on the tournament's number 2 seed in Florida. So 1-5 and 2 and unranked as far as the seeding goes.
Yeah, and our teams we picked. I was rooting for Oral Roberts. You were rooting for Tennessee, and they're both out. So, looking at who we have, who are you going to root for? I mean, in the end, when it comes to the College World Series, you're just, you root for a team because you want to have a team to root for. But in the end, it's just, cool that, somebody, whoever the team is that wins. But you got to have a team to root for who. So who are you going for?
I've watched all of the teams. I can't root for LSU.
Yeah.
I can't. And I can't root for Florida.
Well, kind of. All right. So that eliminates 2.
So I recently read a really good story about the Wake Forest program and how they turned everything around. Normally I would go with TCU as an underdog.
Right.
But I kind of feel like Wake Forest winning really helps spotlight the turnaround, because a couple of years ago they didn't even qualify for their own conference tournament, and here they are with the number 1 seed overall. It's been a long time since the number 1 seed overall won the whole thing, and they really changed the overall dynamic of what was happening, because their program was down after COVID. They ended up having a lot of colleges had this when the minors were kind of shut down during COVID, and then too, if you remember, they also cut the number of minor league teams each major league team had. That left a lot of college players who were expecting to move on to play pro ball end up going back to college. From the story, there was a couple of younger players that were talking about, we had seniors who just didn't care, and that affected their program. Turning that around, having a bunch of young guys that want to get out there and they want to win. Yeah, I would, if you have the Athletic, check it out. Check out the story, because they talk about that in their pitching lab that they have and the way that they work with everybody. They're very involved with helping these guys be successful. So I'd like to see the Demon Deacons grab the victory. I'm going to root for them.
And I am as well. And I mainly because I really like their name, the Demon Deacons. That's who I'm going with. But they're also number one. And I've watched them play like you. I've watched all of the teams play. And they don't give. I think the TCU, I had mentioned to you, they kind of, I don't know, and maybe it was because they were playing Oral Roberts and I really wanted Oral Roberts to win, but they had a little bit of a swagger like the Padres, and I think that was just I don't like that. But Florida kind of has that going too. LSU especially.
They were. I looked down that bottom of the eighth I mentioned. The pitcher, I'm not sure what his name is, came off the mound. He was yelling. He was screaming. I'm sure he was excited and pumped up. But at that point, I just wanted something to fall from the sky and hit him on the head.
Yeah, he comes off the mound and he's like, nobody can touch me. I mean, he's just all fired up.
It was like a WWF.
Too much.
Coming off there. Oh, yeah. And it was just not seeing what had happened. It was like, dude.
Yeah, tone it down. Come on. You're right. And that's what I didn't see with TCU when I was watching them play Oral Roberts, watched Florida play. But I think that if I ranked them, it would be LSU, TCU, and then Florida in terms of obnoxiousness.
I have to mention, too, that some things I've seen, some good fundamentally sound baseball. I mean, you see little errors in this, but I don't know if I've told you. I know I've told you, but I don't know if I mentioned it on air. Watching, we've talked about the Angels and their issues with defense, which has gotten better. But Trey Turner, watching a Phillies, and I don't remember who, and watching a ball hit right at him, going right through his leg. And the TCU shortstop, it may have been against Oral Roberts, but if not, it was Oral Roberts because that's the only team they played, really. Oh, Virginia. Might have been against Virginia, but I think it was versus Oral Roberts. And they and he got down on it, textbook play, made a perfect throw, and I got a little misty. I was like, that's the way it should be. And if Wake Forest doesn't make it through, they're my backup. TCU is. Because I can't root for either of the other ones.
I can't either. So, we will see, because by this time next week, we should have a champion and we can talk to you all about it. But I have been really excited about what's going on in Omaha, to the point that I think we are, making plans to make it there.
I actually was thinking about how I could actually move to Omaha or Lincoln, because Lincoln's only an hour away. So that way I could just live there. I don't have to worry about finding someplace to stay or whatever. Then I can just concentrate on getting tickets to the games.
Yeah, because that's the hardest part, I think. It's going to be the hardest part. Oh, and I thought today I had this moment where I thought, do they need volunteers to work at the stadium? What can I do to get there? Right.
So, we're going to look into that because we definitely want to go. A couple things that I noticed there on one of the Oral Roberts games. I think it was their game versus TCU, that they were talking to the ESPN crew was talking to Jose Trevino, and who is a catcher for the Yankees and an ORU alumni.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool because they weren't just talking to him and he was on the phone or something. They actually had a little camera there with him where he was at, wherever the Yankees were playing. And they were talking to him, and he was talking about how great the program was. He comes from Texas, decided he wanted to go someplace else. It was recommended to him that they really put a lot into their baseball program. And and as he's watching the game, the Oral Roberts catcher threw out a runner, and he was like, oh yeah, got him, and he was like reacting.
Yeah.
He's watching the game. It was real fun. He's a very nice guy, it seems like. And I've only seen him interviewed one other time, and but it was really kind of cool to see him so involved and rooting on his team. And I guess he's got a little chat group going on with other former players, and they're all been talking about it. I'm sure they're kind of sad now that their guys are out of it. But hey, nice run for them. And,
I mean, they were the number 4 seed, like, coming out of super regionals. Is that right? I think because they
were number 4 in their region.
Yeah, in their region. So, and the last time that a number 4 seed out of the that won was like 1988, and it was Fresno State. So it doesn't happen that often. So they made a good run, but I'd love to see them back there next year.
And then one more thing that I'd like to bring up that I wish the pros would do, the umpire cam.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
That was good.
It's really cool. It's coming at you. You could see the ball and the movement. You may not always get a good feel for whether it was strike zone or not, but it's really fun to see some of the pitches from that angle. So like you said, we will have a wrap on this year's College World Series next week and we'll have a national champion for 2023's NCAA baseball season. Couple things I need to put out there right now before we get into talking about the Angels, because this is stuff that affects the Angels as well based on what's going on, is that we're 17 games away, give or take now, from the All-Star game, and we're around 30 games to the trade deadline.
Ooh, yeah.
So the Angels, who had been hovering around 500, they've been over 500 for quite a while. As of Sunday, second place in the AL West. They played Texas and Kansas City in this last week. And really, with the exception of one game, even though they went 5-2 on the week, only one of those losses was a shake my head and walk away and wonder what in the world is happening loss.
Yeah, definitely.
So they go into Texas. Texas, of course, is ruling the AL West, and this is a good time to be on a hot streak for the Angels, which we've seen they have been. They're starting to play better. A lot of it being led by Shohei, with the bat especially. But they really picked it up. Some better pitching has been happening. They go into Texas kind of thinking, well, will the Angels be able to gain any ground on anybody, or at least play well enough to grab a W or two? Yes, they did. Grabbing 3 in a 4-game set, only losing 1. And even in that one, it wasn't terrible. First game out, Zennings.
Yeah, 12
the news
inning.
desk there, shuffling your papers around?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to look at a score real quick. Yeah, I mean, one thing that really helped was Shohei Ohtani, because he tied the game with a solo home run in the 7th, and then he goes the opposite way for a 2-run home run to lead off the 12th inning.
Right, in a 4-run 12th. At that, they just it's crazy how good they've been looking lately, and they found themselves into the wild card race if everything ended today. And the AL West has the first 4 teams. Well, the Mariners were only at 500, but the first 4 teams are all 500 above. But I think I've mentioned this before. The Angels would be first place in quite a few of the other divisions, both American League and National League. It's crazy how that's going on. What's happening? And they're, it wasn't like, hey, we're just going to drop off now. No, they kept fighting back. Everything was tied up in the 7th in that game. Chad Wallach also with a home run in the 12th to help lead them on. Not a bad outing overall compared to where he's been from Tyler Anderson. Gives up 5 runs on 8 hits over 6 innings. Zach Neto, couple of doubles. The only 2 guys that really didn't do anything that game to help out are the guys who normally are contributors, and that's Renfroe and Drury were 0 for 11 in this game.
Yeah.
But
and of course, Anthony Rendon, but that's a normal.
Who?
Yeah, some guy that sometimes I think he spent most of his career as an Angel on the IL, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, and
but
then
those two guys, yeah, definitely,
Everybody keeps saying, we got to get Rendon back. Once he's back, we'll really be solid. He's been back, and they haven't been solid. Now, compared to other times that he's been out, because he is out again, this time was a little less of a surprise that, my knee hurts, but I'm going to have elbow surgery.
Right.
Or I'm going to, what was it? He had something, and it just seemed like
my knee hurts, but I'm having plastic surgery because I don't like my nose.
Right.
That would be even better.
But then it became a hip thing or whatever, and it's always a surprise. Well, we'll get to that in a second. He didn't really help either. Game 2 saw Carlos Estevez get his 18th save in 18 attempts, closing in on the record set by Lee Smith, tied by Troy Percival of 19. So he's 1 away from that after this game. Jimmy Herget gets a win. Jaime Barria gave up the 3 runs to the Rangers. The bullpen gave up no runs, which is nice when that happens. Seager and Nathaniel Lowe, both with home runs, both going 3 for 5. And the Angels, like I said, they walk away with a 7-3 win there. In that game, Renfroe, home run, 2 RBIs, Drury, 2 for 5 and an RBI.
Yeah, and then Shohei Ohtani, he reached base all 5 times. He had single, a double, 2 walks, and an intentional walk, which extended his hitting streak to 10 games. He scored twice. He stole his 10th base of the season. So he just keeps on keeping on. But the Rangers had called up Cody Bradford, who was filling in for John Gray, who wasn't able to start because of a blister. And he went 4 1/3 innings, 64 pitches, but it was like he was at AAA Round Rock when he got called up. And so, yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be, like, he comes in and he's going to be great, but he wasn't as great. But he had also started like 4 days prior and had thrown like 100 pitches. So
that could have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Great outing in Game 3 for Reed Detmers. He goes 6, only gives up 1 run on 3 hits. But unfortunately, he was followed by Jimmy Herget and then Tucker Davidson.
Yeah. Tucker. Whoa. Can't believe he's still around.
Comparatively, former Angel Andrew Haney was on the mound for the Rangers. He only went 3 2/3 innings. He just gave up a run. What really ended up hurting Herget and Tucker were a couple of home runs. Detmers actually gave up home runs to both Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. And then Leody Tavares had a home run in there also. And they walked away with a 6-3 victory. Shohei had another home run. 2 for 4.
Yeah. I was just going to say 2 for 4. And his home run went to the second deck of the grill, 453 feet.
Yeah, he has been on fire when it comes to the bat. Pitching, he's been okay, but not great. But batting wise, it's been crazy. Rendon with a double in that one and provided the third run or the other RBI. And it takes us to the finale of this, where you got to wonder how things are going to work out. Shohei on the mound for the Angels, and then the Rangers ace, Nathan Eovaldi. Taking it to the hill.
Not the one you thought was going to be the ace, but he is. No. Yeah, he's
the ace of the IL.
Yeah,
and has been for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's having himself a season, but I don't know.
Is that like when they say that when you're watching golf? That's a golf shot.
That's a golf shot.
That's a golf shot.
He's
having himself a season.
That's right.
A golf shot.
He is.
Oh, who did I hear? Oh, I heard our buddy Eduardo Perez. That's a baseball.
Oh,
that's a good baseball play. It's like,
I don't want to. Then I got to stop saying that, because if he's saying it, and I don't want to be compared to that, which I wonder. I know this has nothing to do with the Angels. Why is he in Omaha? I mean, of all people.
Well, not only was he in Omaha, but then he was doing the Sunday game.
Yeah.
The Red Sox Yankees game.
I know.
Because they don't have anybody else, I guess.
Yeah. But I think, if they would really let him do like his investigative reporting, he could do something about the green monster. But anyway, let's get back to this game.
It's really, really big. It's very tall.
You see this crack?
Back to you. Yeah.
Aaron Judge was here 2 years ago. He ran into it.
He was just shagging balls. Not even in the game. And look what he did.
Now, in this game,
he knocked it all down. They rebuilt it, put seats up there.
That's right. In this game, Shohei is on the mound, as you mentioned, and he gets his first victory in his last 5 starts, which is kind of unheard of, because you think, well, Shohei's on the mound, you got to win. And but he gets his first victory through 6 innings in this game, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, had a walk, only 3 strikeouts. But that was all right. That was
kind of the thing that got me, because he's been pretty consistently around 6.
Right.
He had been going better, but then it's kind of dropped off to about 6. He's not looking like he's as tired. Eovaldi goes 7 to best him by 1 inning. Gives up 3 runs on 5 hits, strikes out 9, gave up 2 home runs to the Angels. Shohei had a home run.
Yeah, and
another one while pitching.
Yeah.
He's been doing that a lot lately, hitting really good when he's on the mound.
Yeah, this home run, he did another second deck, but it was only 443 feet. So it's like,
he's slacking.
Yeah, a slacker.
And this game, we saw a couple things happen that wasn't something the Angels wanted to see. We'll talk about those in a second. Mickey Moniak, 3 for 4 with a double. Chad Wallach, and then we just mentioned Shohei, all with home runs in that game. And then the Rangers, Jonah Heim, Nathaniel Lowe, and Adolis Garcia were pretty much the ones that drove the Rangers. They all had RBIs in the 5-3 loss to the Angels. Before the game, there was Zach Neto had some discomfort. Actually, he said he had a cramp, he thought, and we'll get more into that when we get to the will. But he ends up being scratched. And during the game, Anthony Rendon, who we previously mentioned is out again, hit in the wrist by a pitch and stays in the game, plays the whole game. This is like the first inning. that this happens. Stays in the game. Next to bat, he's bunting or trying to bunt. Ends up striking out the last 3 times. Didn't even swing the bat in 2 of the at-bats because he couldn't. So we'll also get to him coming up and around baseball. Angels head on up to Kansas City. Wilbur Harrison providing the soundtrack. Kansas City, Here I Come. Or you could go to Oklahoma and go to Everything's Up to Date in Kansas City from the musical.
That's true.
Going to Kansas City, Here I Come.
Well, the Angels certainly made their way to Kansas City because in this first game, you had Brandon Drury drive in 2 runs. Patrick Sandoval threw 7 innings, and the Angels handed the Royals their 10th straight loss, and they beat them 3-0.
This was like what you wanted. This is what they're going to have to look like going forward. Patrick Sandoval has just looked terrible. And here he comes up, throws a shutout for the 7 innings that he's in there. And then Sam Bachman comes in, throws another 2 scoreless for this particular win. Matt Thaiss really coming in to his own here. They had taken him away from being a catcher. And it was last year that they realized we need some backup because we were having, issues with injury issues and that. So they were kind of using him as an emergency catcher, but he's really re-engaged in that position. And he's definitely found a place. Question will be is when Ohapi comes back.
Yeah, where is his place? Yeah, in this game.
I think he's still number 2 because I'm starting to feel like Stassi's not going to be back.
Yeah, he's got hip issues and has had hip issues. As isn't the first time. He had last season too. But in this game, no home runs for the Angels, but 5 doubles. Moniak, Otani, Drury, Renfroe, and Velasquez. Squid.
Yeah, Squid second game back. Getting called up game before because of Neto being gone, and he definitely contributes for that one. The Angels do end up winning this series. Game 3, they sent Tyler Anderson and Jaime Barria back to the mound. Estevez gets his 19th save in a row and ties both Troy Percival and Lee Smith, who set the record. Shohei hit number 24 in this and went back-to-back with Mike Trout. People are feeling like Mike Trout's probably on the verge of breaking out. We'll see. He's not been playing that well when you look at how it's going. It's just, but we want it to happen. He wants it to happen. And the one thing that is cool is that Jared Walsh finally with a home run on the season. They went up against Zach Greinke. Zach didn't last too long, just 5 innings, gave up 4 runs. He's only 1-7 on the season.
Right. 1-7. Now, I think it's interesting you skipped a game.
I did
and
because
maybe
we probably
because
need a little more time to go over this.
Well, I thought you skipped it just because of
it wasn't
how the game went.
At one point,
because that's what I would have done.
It wasn't a bad game.
Right.
And that's why it's just going to take a little bit longer. So I thought let's just wrap up that one and get to the big game of this series. The Angels were able to do that. This is a team that going into game 2 of this series had 18 wins. They and the A's are competing for who can not win any games because both of them 19 wins as of the weekend. But they're at 18 at this point, and I've already given away who ends up winning. But the thing is that any other series previously, we would have seen this, and then we would have expected a loss the very next game.
That's true.
But no. The Angels came back and won 5-2 in game 3, but in game 2, final score 10-9.
Yeah.
It was at one point. So this was Saturday's game. I'm at lunch. I work on Saturdays. I'm at lunch. I got an hour lunch. I'm watching the game. I see them score these runs, 8-2. And my lunch is over. I'm going, okay, they're playing Kansas City. That's probably it. Awesome. There's a good chance that they could sweep the Royals. And then later, I think what keyed me in that there was something wrong is that you texted me and you said, what happened? The bullpen? I didn't know.
Yeah, because you had texted me earlier and said the Angels are playing good today. Another good game for the Angels. And, it's like, all right, and then I looked at the fight. I think I was looking at Twitter. So I think I was watching, Omaha games in Omaha, and it came up and it was like Angels lose. I'm like, what?
Well, you were completely correct that it was the bullpen. Griffin Canning went 6 innings in this game, just gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, struck out 5. But it was Colton Ingram who made his debut, 3 runs on 2 hits. It was Davidsky, 2 runs late in the game to get the L. 8-2. In the bottom of the 7th, the Royals scored 3. In the bottom of the 8th, they scored 3. The Angels would score 1 in the top of the 9th. So 9-, what was that? 9-7 at that point. Wait, 3-3, 9-8. And then in the bottom of the 9th, the walk-off. When they just couldn't get him out. 1 out and 2 RBIs, 2 runs score, and they walk away with it. Aroldis Chapman gets the W in this game.
Yeah.
Mike Myers, former Angel, started it all off for the, and he looked frustrated most of his time because he actually was getting beat. They came back and won that, not so much for him, but just for the team.
Well, and the walk-off single was by Samad Taylor, who was making his MLB debut. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can't write that and script that any better than for him to have the walk-off single in that game. It was Royals were 6 for 10 with runners in scoring position, all from the 7th inning on. So they went 10 for 69 with runners in scoring position during their 10-game losing streak.
Yeah, it was for them. It was a great game. The Angels started off well. Jose Soriano completely imploded during this game. He had been looking so good. Nope, he was done. 3 runs. Like I said, Chris Davinsky gave up 2 runs. It just wasn't good. But you saw 2 sides of this, and it wasn't as if this has been the same old thing day after day. For the last couple of weeks, the Angels have been playing above themselves, maybe, or they're playing right where they should be. This is the kind of play we were expecting based on the roster that was built. They have, like a lot of teams, are having pitching issues. This is where I wonder for the Angels. I mentioned how long we are out from the deadline. A lot of teams are going to be looking for pitching.
A lot, because when I think about, I focus on the one team. Obviously, I look at all baseball, right? But I focus a little bit more, obviously, on the Dodgers. But I see throughout, it's like I saw a thing today. Aroldis Chapman could help the Rangers with their bullpen issues.
Right.
And you're like, okay. And then you see Maniason comes out, Perry comes out and says, yeah, we're going to be looking starting pitching, bullpen, and it's like everybody is looking for the same thing.
And that's it. There's only a couple teams that aren't. And this is where now it gets complicated for the Angels. They have to decide if this route that they're on now, this streak that they're in, having they've got a better record than the Dodgers do. Are they going to still be competing in 17 more games? What about roughly 30? And what are they willing to give up to get a frontline starter to get them into the playoffs? There's too many things that can happen. The Asterisks haven't been playing well. They're getting beat by teams the Angels are in their position, not only because they've been playing well, but they're ahead of Houston because they can thank the Reds for, playing hard themselves, putting themselves, up around first place or very close to it in their division by beating the Asterisks and other teams. So there's a lot to consider here. And as they get closer, what are you willing to give up? What will you need to give up? And so the Angels have to start making those decisions. And Perry has to be on it right now. There's no waiting around until we get closer. He needs to already have the game plan, what we're willing to give up for who, what they're going to do. There's a lot of pitchers out there that could be, showing up available. But because there's so many teams that are still right on the edge, how many aren't going to give up an arm? And the Angels have to figure that out. They're going to get a chance to see somebody else who's had depleted pitching issues coming up this week. It's Freeway Series time, Dodgers and Angels at the Big A. And then they're going to continue on playing the National League West with the Rockies, which has been in the past and up and down for them. Obviously, the Rockies, not a very good baseball team overall, but that doesn't mean they can't win. They've won, right around, they're approaching 30 wins last time I looked. So, they very well could have a good game there when they come to Anaheim. So they it's a short week for them. Just 5 games, just 2 with the Dodgers and then 3 over the weekend with the Rockies. That brings us to probably, I would say, a unanimous player of the week. I don't know, but I kind of think it might be.
Okay, let's say on 3. 1, 2, 3. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. Who else could it be? Over the week, he hit 600.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount. And he had one game he went 2 for 2, but he had a double in that game, but he had 3 walks. So this shows the discipline at the plate.
He has been on fire with that. The only person that I can really say in baseball who seems to be a better hitter than him right now, Luis Ariz.
Oh, yeah.
And on a different level, though.
Right.
Shohei's got the power. He leads the MLB as of the weekend, leads MLB with home runs, 24 of them. He leads MLB in WAR at 4.9. 4th in the MLB with strikeouts at 105. And 2nd in the AL with strikeouts, just behind Kevin Gossman of the Blue Jays.
And he leads in every category for the Angels.
Yeah, you look at it, there's nobody, and there's in a lot of cases, nobody qualifies for the stats that he qualifies for.
Right.
With that, he's got to go back to his batting, he's got an OPS of 2288. It's just on fire what he's doing. can he, at some point he'll probably cool down a little bit. But I think that's, he's still, as long as he stays like they're consistent, he's got himself fully in the MVP conversation. Definitely, going to be on an all-star game on the American League team.
Oh yeah, I've been voting for him.
So it's just there's just nobody playing like him, and that's it too. Like on that stats, 3 home runs on the week, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, only struck out twice, and that was something like 16 total plate appearances.
Well, and David Ortiz, they asked him about Ohtani, and he said, you can't say what he's doing is amazing because it is unbelievable what he is doing.
Right. I don't think you can even, all the stuff about Babe Ruth and all that, it's great because Babe Ruth did those things and put up big numbers. But you also have to remember that at some point Babe Ruth stopped pitching.
Right.
And he was playing the outfield. There was no designated hitter then. He was playing the outfield. He wasn't pitching. Some of the best games for Ohtani, he's pitched, and then we were talking about last week, 3 different times he's almost hit for the cycle while he's pitching.
Yeah.
It's just out of this world. Unbelievable would be stealing from Big Papi there. He is otherworldly at this point.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Crazy what's happening in LA in the Ravine. And to start off the Dodgers week, we had a rematch of sorts. So we mentioned last week that the White Sox were coming to play, and of course the Giants. The White Sox in first during the week. Giants got the weekend. I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but I was really, as the White Sox hit the field in the Ravine, I was remembering the 1959 World Series, where the Dodgers and the White Sox played. This was the first championship for the Dodgers in LA. They had just moved here in 58. They were playing in the Coliseum. One of these World Series games to this day is still the most attended game in World Series history. Over 92,000 people filled the Coliseum to watch this game. The Coliseum, which had, I think it was the left field wall, the way that the stadium and the field was set up, only 250 feet. Imagine a Little League field is about 200 feet out to the outfield. The Dodgers won that series 4-2. Would they be so lucky this time to walk away with a series win versus the White Sox? Well, maybe we should talk about it and see if they could. Like I said, they show up at the Ravine with they're in the Central Division. They don't have to have a winning record to be in the hunt there.
Yeah. No.
They're a team though that is has quite a few team members on the list of possibles at the trade deadline, including somebody that I don't know what the Dodgers would have to give up to get him, but Dylan Cease, the ace for the White Sox, is on that list, and he pitched in one game here. We'll talk about that. And then we kind of got an answer too about one of their pitchers and the pitch clock. But let's start off with game one. Tony Gonsolin on the hill.
Yeah, in this game, it was Will Smith bobblehead night, and he helped his cause with scoring a 2-run home run in the bottom of the first. So he did what he needed to do on his bobblehead night, because that is always the one thing.
they had him. His bobblehead commercials was that he wasn't, catchers aren't very good at stand-up comedy. And he was telling jokes. He had 2 jokes that he told, like, where do catchers eat lunch? Behind the plate. Anyway,
that's like a dad joke.
Yeah, well, I think that was.
And
kind of the point.
And did he say it in? Did he ever smile? Because his bobblehead was no smile.
No, he was in his standard. And I can't remember what the other joke was, but there was 2 of them that were kind of groaners, dad joke kind of neighborhood.
Yeah.
But hey, as long as he's back there, he's playing well. Should be an all-star, I think, as you noted on our Twitter.
Yes. For Will Smith. Yeah.
Will Smith. David Peralta was the other one who really contributed in this game. For the 5.
Tony Gonsolin went 6 innings and he gave up 2 hits, didn't give up any runs, had 2 walks, and had 6 strikeouts. The one thing with Tony, they almost called him Tony Velocity, is his velocity was down. Yeah, was down in this game. So that is something you have to watch. And he was supposed to start the Sunday game when they played Philadelphia, and that ended up being a bullpen game. And so, because they gave him an extra couple of days off to help, because I had heard, like I said, he had some kind of overall just kind of body fatigue. And I know some people that'd be like, I have overall body fatigue every day, But
I wake up with overall body fatigue.
Exactly. Right.
I still go out and pitch 9 innings. I don't know what your problem is.
I know. Yeah. But anyway, but he didn't look bad other than the notice of the velocity was down. The Dodgers scored another run in the 7th to make it 5-0. And then the White Sox added a run courtesy of a former Dodger, Yasmani Grandal, who had a sacrifice fly. So Dodgers come off a really rough road trip and they win 5-1.
Going up against Lance Lynn, too, who's had some good time. And that 1 run given up by Taylor Scott to continue his giving up a run streak.
That's right. Now, in this next game,
continuous innings giving up a run. Normally, it's not giving up. For Taylor Scott, it's an what was it? There used to be a show like on Nickelodeon. They did opposite sketch where everything was opposite of what.
Yeah, right.
Why I know that, I don't know.
In the second game, you think, all right, it's going to be okay because we're going to continue this win streak. Dodgers can continue, and it's Kershaw Day. And that's why you think it's going to continue. But he did not get the job done. He's pitched 6 innings, but he gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, only had 5 strikeouts because normally he's feeding, LA with the Jumbo Jacks. Gave up 2 home runs in this game, which is very un-Kershaw-like.
Jake Berger had 2 home runs. Luis Robert Jr. with a home run as well. The going into the 8th inning, though, the Dodgers had 4-2 lead. Yeah,
so you still think, okay, it's the 8th. We don't have that. It's close. Keep him close. But that it's not the way it happened.
Nope,
and they end up losing.
They do. They drop it 8-4 thanks to those couple of home runs I just mentioned, and Andrew Benintendi also 2 RBIs on the day. The guy that I was talking about, Mike Clevenger, who we talked about with his little hesitation, shuffle, jerkiness,
like
thing
a tiptoe kind of thing that he used to do. He doesn't do that anymore.
Nope.
And so now we know, because at the beginning, when we, at probably our first episode, maybe second episode, we're talking about the pitch clock, and he was one that I thought he's going to have a hard time how is he going to do those, little herky-jerky little steps that he does, but he doesn't do it anymore. Now, he did only go 4 2/3 innings because he came out with bicep soreness. And he is, we'll talk about him on the wheel. But their manager was also ejected for the 3rd time this season because he, argued with the home plate umpire and the crew chief because he said he didn't get a chance to challenge a play. He thought when Miguel Vargas was safe at second and then Chris Taylor scored, he wanted to challenge it. And he said they said that he didn't have his hand up, but he said, well, I was making eye contact with the umpire, but that's not the rule. You have to have your hand up. And that's why you see
umpire having eye contact with him.
Right. It's almost kind of like the pitch clock thing where the pitchers and the hitters have to be, engaged. The hitter has to be looking at the pitcher. So, So in this game, it was Jake Berger, like you said, that he 2-run shot tied it at 4 in the 8th. He had his first multi-home run game of his career against the Dodgers. Now this has kind of got me because he said his wife's family are big Dodger fans. And so he said her grandpa passed away a couple of years ago and was the biggest Dodger fan. And so it meant a little more for me to hit off of Kershaw and for it to be here at Dodger Stadium. And I just thought that was weird.
It was so big that because her grandpa hated me.
Yeah, that's what it came across.
Great joy.
Yeah.
In his team.
Right. That's what it came across. I'm like, oh, okay. Did you have issues with the grandpa? What's going on? But
the Dodgers had issues with the White Sox that day. That's for sure. Regardless,
they did. They just, and it was, like I said, Kershaw came in, and then it was Yancy Almonte who gave up a home run. I think he gave up the home run to Benintendi. Vesia came in, only pitched a 1/3 of an inning, gave up a hit, gave up a run. Gratterall came in, was good. And then Taylor Scott, once again, gives up 3 runs.
Continued his streak.
And then Victor Gonzalez came in and gave up 2 hits, but didn't give up any more runs. They just couldn't, they were doing things. But I think that's one thing I see with the Dodgers is they score early and then they just kind of peter out. It's not a continuous, like, I don't care. You can't just say, oh, well, we've got 4 runs. We're good. Or we got 5 runs, whatever. And then you just stop. Because in this game, it was Mookie Betts had an RBI. He had 2 RBIs. Miguel Rojas was 2 for 4. He had a double. Cuz came in, had an RBI. But JD Martinez, 0 for 5 in this game. James Outman continues to just, not be able to hit right now. So his rookie of the year status might be.
I think that, and I'll bring this up in Around Baseball, but I think that unless he had continued the fire that he was on, I still kind of think, and even if he picks it up again, unless something big changes, I don't think he has a chance. Because there's a player that is, I think he's already won it.
Yeah.
Well, an issue.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I know who you're talking about. And this, it might get some votes, depending on where he ends up.
Get, but I just don't think he's going to be, because he started off strong and then just, fizzled out. So anyway.
Yeah. Now, in this last game of the series, you're thinking, okay, it's a repeat because you had Luis Robert Jr. and Eloy Jimenez. They hit back-to-back homers in the first inning. Jake Berger, Andrew Vaughn, they also went deep in consecutive at-bats in the fourth. And the White Sox have a 4-0 lead in their third 4-homer game of the season. And Dylan Cease is on the mound for the White Sox. I almost said for the Dodgers. Maybe that's wishful thinking.
There you go. Maybe that's an omen.
That's right. He allowed 2 runs and 4 hits in 5 1/3 innings. He struck out 6 of his first 9 batters, and he had 10 strikeouts, 3 walks. So, the Dodgers are thinking, and Michael Grove is on the mound for the Dodgers. He goes 5 innings. He gives up 4 home runs. I mean, it was just awful. It was bad.
Those are the only 4 runs that he gives up.
That's it.
And they're only solo. They're all solos.
So that's kind of the saving grace, is that they were solo. They weren't, a grand slam or anything like that.
No. And imagine,
it's only 4.
If somebody had hit a grand slam in this game, that'd be 4 all at once.
Yeah.
If only.
If only. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But he, it's 4-0, and it doesn't look great because you have just not great offense. Mookie's 2 for 5. Freddie is 1 for 5 with an RBI. But, Hayward 0 for 5, Vargas 0 for 4. But it is Chris Taylor, who has been pretty quiet because we know him. He's really the utility guy. He plays everywhere. He comes in to the 6th inning with 2 outs and hits a grand slam. It was his 100th home run and his first home run of his career was also a grand slam.
And prompted Rick Monday to say, because once again, it was done with 2 outs, that they scored all those runs, is that the Dodgers need to pretend that there's always 2 outs. Because they have done great things with 2 outs.
They have. So, and this is the Dodgers. They lead the Major League Baseball in grand slams. This is their 8th of the season. So
take that, Slam Diego.
That's right.
Right now, Slam Diego looks like Scam Diego.
Yeah, always, I think. But
well, if you're a Drake's fan,
oh yeah,
and you're like, you spent all this money and we're
on
still
what?
If not for the Rockies, we're in last place.
That's true. Yeah. So now we got a game because it's tied 4-4. And it goes to innings. And this is where you have some faith in the bullpen. You're like, okay. So Miller pitched 5. And then, Grove pitched 5. Shelby Miller came in, pitched 2. Didn't give up any runs. Almonte, no runs. Evan Phillips, no runs. Caleb Ferguson comes in and pitches an inning. No hits, no runs. Had a strikeout. Evan Phillips had 4 strikeouts. So you're like, okay, this is the bullpen I know and love. And they were able to win this game in innings because Freddie Freeman singled to center field, and it gave them a 5-4 victory over the Chicago White Sox. And it was funny because it looked like it was just going to be a sac fly. I think Chris Taylor was on third at that point, and it actually dropped. It was further than it looked like it was going to be. And Luis Robert was just walking off the field. it just was like, okay, it was just kind of funny, his reaction. Like, he was literally a walk-off.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the walk-off. So Dodgers win the series against the White Sox.
Just like in 1959.
Yeah. And then the Giants come in. Now, the Giants have been on fire. I think they have been like 19-9 when they, something like that at the end of the weekend. This first game is supposed to be a bullpen game for the Dodgers, but they called up Emmett Sheehan, who was called up from Double-A Tulsa. And man, I mean, he was excellent. And he said, of course, he's got to be nervous, but he said, I just treated it like I was in Double-A. Like, it didn't matter who was at the plate. I was just pitching, to a Double-A player. He ends up going 6 innings with a no-hitter. And not only that, he had 2 walks and 3 strikeouts, but behind him, he had defensive plays that he was like, couldn't believe. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts making these, incredible plays because they had a no-hitter going. And then the bullpen owes him a huge apology. The Dodgers led 4-0 in the 5th. And what do we do here? We got the bullpen comes in. They gave up all 7 runs that the Giants would score to win this game 7-5. The only reliever that didn't give up any runs was Caleb Ferguson. And this was just a weird game. I mean, there was just, the Giants had some throwing, defensive errors, just kind of weird things going on. And then in the 11th, because it does go into innings, there was a huge base running blunder. And I was like, is it Mookie's fault? Is it Dino's fault? And is it Michael Busch's fault? And Mookie said, no, it was his fault.
I think Dino
took
as
the blame.
well, but because Dino should have known where the ball was. Michael Busch, because of where the ball came in, he might have been off. He's relying on his coach, regardless of what Mookie's doing at that point. And he wasn't. Dino, I don't think, directed traffic very well there, but
he did not.
All of them should a little bit. There wasn't a lot of situational awareness.
Well, on both sides.
Situations.
Yeah.
Well, the other ones, they're throwing it all over the place.
Yeah.
But at some point, it just looked like a comedy of errors. Keystone Cops looking.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they've got the ball, and Busch is caught off of third. And then he's trying to do what he can, and he's almost like, I don't know what I'm going to do. He didn't commit to a rundown, but he made sure Mookie made it to third before they got him.
Right. But then, Miguel Rojas grounded out to end the game. And that was that. So it's like, okay, they lose 7-5.
Well, and you mentioned him just a few seconds ago, or we did. Outman had 2 hits in this game. He joined Mookie and Miguel Rojas, all with a multi-hit game.
Yeah. This next game we can skip over. And we'll talk about, and really the third game. Let's just end this with who's your player of the week.
Oh, no, let's talk about it. We already know that the Dodgers and the Angels are playing one another.
They are.
Then they're going to have the Asterisks coming to town. That should be interesting as well.
It should be really interesting. But all right, let's talk about this second game.
I'm not twisting your arm or anything. If you don't want to talk about it, I mean, I will tell you.
The Dodgers lose 15-0. It is the largest. Yes. Yeah.
Alex Wood had a good game.
He did. This was the Giants' largest margin of victory over the Dodgers since they won 19-3 on September 14th, 2013, so 10 years. And it also matches the worst home shutout loss in Dodgers history, which came in 1898 against Pittsburgh when the team was in Brooklyn. And this is the first time that the Dodgers have dropped a home series to the Giants for the first time when they lost 3 of 4 in July of 2021. But
they weren't even the Dodgers in 18 whatever.
Yeah, they were the
Robins
the bridegrooms or the Robins or the bridegroom. Yeah. Yeah. Lamont Wade. Lamont Wade, right?
Junior.
Junior. And I think it was J.D. Davis. They drove in 5 runs apiece. Brandon Crawford had 4 of the Giants' 17 hits. You mentioned Alex Wood. He allowed 3 hits in 5 innings. He struck out 4. He didn't walk anybody. And he had just come off the IL the day before. So he had a good game. And the Dodgers just couldn't do anything. And like Lamont Wade Jr. hit a 3-run homer, and then J.D. Davis, who had been on the IL, he comes in as a pinch hitter with bases loaded and hits a grand slam off of Alex Vesia, who continues to disappoint. He only went a third of an inning, gave up the 1 hit. And that was just, Bobby Miller. You have mentioned, will Bobby Miller come down to earth? Yes, he did in this 15-0 loss. One of the things I saw in this game with Bobby Miller was he only went 5 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits, 7 runs. He did give up a home run. But he did not seem to be on the same page with Austin Barnes. Now, in his previous starts, he had Will Smith behind the plate. I don't know if that made a difference for him because he didn't have Austin Barnes catching. But there were at least 2 times where Austin had to call timeout because he was shaking off everything. And it was like, all right, so you come in. But it was like twice where he had to come in and be like, hey, what's going on? So that was one thing that I noticed, that he didn't have that issue with Will Smith. So I don't know. Just an observation. So this game, 15-0. Next game, obviously Giants have won this series because they won the first 2 games, but we still have Sunday's game. So there's still hope the Dodgers can win a game. Tony Gonsolin on the mound. The most runs he has given up ever. He gave up 7. He only pitched 5 2/3 innings, which is a problem for Tony because he has not pitched into the 7th inning this season. So that's an issue. And as I mentioned before, his last start, his velocity was down. He gave up 6 hits, like I said, 7 runs, had 7 strikeouts. But, they had Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. And, Logan Webb, I don't know. What can you say? And the thing is that the Giants didn't have a good read on Gonsolin in the first 3 innings. But then when they got a second look, that's when they, started hitting. And they just got, they outscored the Dodgers 29-8 And this is the 6th time that San Francisco swept Los Angeles in a 3-game series at Dodger Stadium since both teams moved to California. And it's something that they hadn't done at Dodger Stadium since August of 2012. So it's been a long time, and I'm sure the Giants were happy but they had been playing well. I mean, they had swept the Cardinals, and they come in, they sweep the Dodgers, and they seem to be firing on all cylinders.
They moved up into second place. The Dodgers dropped to third.
Yep.
We already talked about who they're going to be playing. Something to consider here with the trade deadline. You had mentioned, and maybe, a slip there, Dylan Cease for the Dodgers, which would be nice.
That would be nice.
And he's one of the White Sox that has been named. The other guy has been Tim Anderson.
The
question is, what is it really? Is he really? Do they really need him? Looking at what Miguel Rojas has been doing, I don't know. But they definitely need that opportunity for Dylan Cease. Joe Kelly pitched pretty well and didn't give up any runs in his appearances.
And he's another name that I have heard kind of bandied about, because for one thing, he's pitching okay, right? Better than some of the relievers that we have. And he's really popular. All Dodger fans love Joe Kelly. I mean, it's the pout, the mariachi jack, all of it. He's a hometown kid. He's from Corona.
Pout. It is the pout that really put him on the top. All right, so let's take a look at the Dodgers Player of the Week, if you have one.
I do have one. I went with Emmett Sheehan. Here's a kid who comes up from Double-A and pitches a no-hitter through 6 innings. He's going longer into games than a lot of the starters are.
The veteran.
Exactly, the veteran, in the rotation. And he's got a shutout and this no-hitter going, and I knew that they weren't going to let him keep going. That's just not what was going to happen. But I really felt like he deserved Player of the Week because of everything that was going on during the week. I mean, I could have looked at the White Sox series and probably found an offensive, maybe Chris Taylor's grand slam. But really, I thought the rookie, first time in Dodger Stadium, going against the rival of all rivals, the San Francisco Giants, and doing it with ease.
Yes, and looking just like Jerry Royce.
Yes.
So we had at that point, at one point in there, we had Ron Say in the outfield and Jerry Royce on the mound.
Yes.
All right. I also had a Player of the Week, but it's not Mr. Sheehan. It's somebody who has been really consistent with the bat overall, and really thought that he was going to probably be DFA'd earlier on in the season, but he's really picked it up and providing some veteran leadership along with Mookie and Freddie, and showing how it's done. And mine goes to Miguel Rojas, who over the last week plus batting like .333. A lot of hits, had a double. He's not doing anything big and sexy, but he is, getting on base and keeping the Dodgers in the game, potentially giving them a spot to score runs. David Peralta is my backup again, 2 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. David Peralta with a home run, 3 RBIs, and a .429 batting average. But I had to give it to Miguel because he's really picked it up and is making it happen for him and for the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's at the plate, and then off, and has had some really nice defensive plays too. So yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah, I went through, and I just had to go with Emmett this time. The Dodgers, as you mentioned, we have the Freeway Series, and then Houston comes in for the weekend, and that should be another good one. We'll see. We know there will be boos raining down at the ravine.
Bullpen cart is fired up and rumbling and ready to ramble around baseball. Lots to get to today. Some things that we brought up earlier. We'll talk a little more about those. But first, as usual, let's take a look and see who were the players of the week, MLB style.
All right, in the American League, no surprise here. Shohei Ohtani, this is the 5th Player of the Week award for him. He leads the MLB in homers, RBIs, and total bases. He hit .435 with 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, 10 walks, and a 1.893 OPS over 7 games at the plate. He also picked up the win on the mound in his start on June 15th. And he held the first place Rangers to 2 runs over those 6 innings that he pitched. So he is Player of the Week for the American League. And then we head to the National League and go to Atlanta, where Michael Harris II, the Rookie of the Year from last season, he has a .562 OPS on the season, but he went 15 for 27 for a .556 batting average. He had 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 2 steals, and a 1.499 OPS over 7 games. And he had a 3-hit game on June 12th, a 4-hit game on June 14th, and a 5-hit game on June 18th, where he hit home runs in all 3 games. And this is the first Player of the Week award for Michael Harris II. And because I mentioned Michael Harris as the Player of the Week for the National League, got to mention Charlie Culberson. Now, this obviously is not Michael Harris's fault, Michael Harris II's fault. But on Father's Day, Charlie Culberson's dad was scheduled to throw out the first pitch for Father's Day. And on Father's Day, the Atlanta Braves designated Charlie Culberson for assignment with very awkward timing. And so they had to change the plans. And instead, Michael Harris II's father, Michael Harris, handled the first pitch and then watched his son go like 5 for 5 in that game. So, but that's just cold. I mean,
yeah,
really. And this is the thing too, is they DFA'd Culberson to make room for this catcher, Chadwick Tromp, because as we will talk about in the wheel, their catcher is having some issues. But I think he's been called up once before, but he's only hit like 125, so Charlie Culberson, I think, hasn't played in Atlanta yet. I think he's just been at the AAA, but it just seemed weird. It's like you couldn't wait a day to call up this one guy so that Culberson's dad could throw out the first pitch.
Yeah, that seems a little odd. Who's this guy came up for who? Travis d'Arnaud or for Sean Murphy?
Sean Murphy.
Okay.
So like I said, we will talk about that on the wheel.
All right. So we talked a little bit about Lance Lynn in the he pitched one of the games versus the Dodgers. On Father's Day, the Sox were up in Seattle, and he set a strikeout record for the franchise. Or I'm sorry, tied a strikeout record for the White Sox franchise, striking out 16 batters, and the White Sox still lost 5-1. So it's like, how does that happen? what's going on when that happens, that still 5 runs show up, but he struck out 16. So great day for him. I guess the 4 kids that he has, we're all happy with Dad's performance, but he wasn't so much, just because like, great, I struck out 16, but we lost.
Right, yeah. Well, speaking of Sunday's games, Major League Baseball had 603,303 fans attend Sunday's 16 games. It's the highest attendance total on any Sunday since September 28th, 2008. And that was on the final day of the regular season for that year. Best attended Sunday since, like I said, since 2008. Best average attendance for a Sunday since 2014. And first back-to-back weekends of more than 1.5 million fans since 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're coming out. They're coming out to the ballpark.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned that the Houston's coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that when I've seen it doesn't matter where the Asterisks go, Altuve and Bregman typically get booed everywhere.
Yes.
Carlos Correa, even with the Twins, booed.
Yeah.
Not long ago, the Marlins were in Anaheim. Who plays first base for the Marlins?
Who plays first base for the Marlins?
Former Asterisk.
Right.
Lee Gurriel.
Right. I couldn't think of. All I could think of was the hair, but I couldn't think of his name.
I didn't catch a boo for him. Maybe they don't even remember that he was on that team.
Maybe, yeah.
But I didn't catch that. And maybe also he was in Anaheim, so maybe that's not it. We'll see when the Marlins come through if he gets booed. But I was just wondering, is he kind of getting a pass? Because he was one that had an attitude about it too.
Well, he had the attitude, and then he also had that gesture that he made
towards
to Yu Darvish, which was not nice at all. Very insensitive. Yeah, that's interesting. We talked about this last week, that the A's were having the Oakland A fans, not the Oakland A's, but the fans, and maybe the Oakland A's, because they were on a win streak, they were having a reverse boycott. And I didn't get it, because to me, I'm guessing the reverse boycott was they actually buy tickets to go to the game, right? And their boycott is nobody buys tickets. That's their boycott, which I don't get, because if you really are a fan, you're going to go to support them. And I don't care who the ownership is. Because how often do you really think, other than the Angels, how often do you really think about the ownership? Unless they're really screwing things up. But they had sell t-shirts. They had 7,000 of them that they were giving out. Fans started lining up 3 hours before the game. They were all done by community donations. There was a local clothing company that made up the shirts, and the game drew 27,759. It was the largest crowd of the season, and it was more than triple their average of 8,555. I guess they're upset because they said, well, Fisher, who owns the team, he's been stripping the team of young stars, but he's not the only one in baseball that's been doing that for clubs. It's the rebuild, right? And he reduced the payroll to the lowest in baseball. Can we look at, Tampa Bay is a perfect example. They've always had one of the lowest payrolls, but they've always consistently been at the top. But they also are having their own stadium issues, and maybe they're still doing a boycott because you don't see very many people at the stadium. But this is what I don't get. The A's have been trying to get a new stadium since at least, it could be before this, but when Jerry Brown, who has been governor of California twice, he was the mayor of Oakland in 2001. And they've been trying to get a stadium at least since then, if not before. And so that's when, like, why are people so surprised when, and then Chuck Finley, he sold to Marvin Davis, and Marvin Davis wanted to move the team to Denver, but Oakland and Alameda County, they blocked that deal. Then they tried to get a new stadium in Oakland or Fremont or San Jose. But that failed because San Jose was a problem because the San Francisco Giant owners, they control that territory.
Their single A minor league club is there in San Jose as well.
Right. Yeah. So it's not, this is what gets me is after or during that game, after the protest, all of these people were like, oh, that's so great. Look how great the Oakland A fans are because they did this. But on the same day that they did this, the Nevada Senate voted 13-8 to give the owner, the A's, the public funding that they need to build a stadium in Las Vegas. And then the next day, the governor of Nevada signed the bill. The mayor of Oakland said that they were days away from approving this $1 billion, $12 billion to $18 billion project that would put them at Howard Terminal, which it looks beautiful, the artist renditions and everything, but it's like, it's too late. And it's always been too late because Oakland, we want a stadium here. Nope. We want a stadium here. Nope. They've always gotten no from Oakland. So I don't understand why all these baseball writers, all these other players are like, oh, that was so great to see the fans come out. What was so great about it? Because if you're truly love baseball, then you're going to be at the game.
Yeah. And with the A's aren't a team that don't have a tradition to them. And just in Oakland, it doesn't matter where they've been previously. In Oakland, they've won world championships.
Right.
They've been a dominant team. Ricky Henderson was there, the Bash brothers, regardless of how all that ended up. In 1989, there was no way the Giants were going to beat them. They were just that good. You go back to the 70s, and we talked about Vida Blue, who just passed away, just being a great pitcher. And he was just one of many. Catfish Hunter there, the Reggie Jackson, Gene Tennis, Joe Rudy, the teams that they put together there. And then the pitching staffs they've had. They've just even recently, Chris Bassett was there. Sean Manaea, who pitched for the Giants versus the Dodgers in this last series, came out of Oakland, and a few others. And they've had a lot of great pitchers. 2002, the Moneyball thing made it look like there was nobody there, but they had some of the best pitchers in baseball on that team, and that helped get them where they were. They just didn't focus on that part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't see why everyone was so, patting these, the fans on the back because they showed up to one game.
Right.
And their best attendance was, on average was like 35,000. And that was like in the 90s, like 1990, something, like that. But who was playing there? What was going on during that time? I mean, I guess you kind of look at it that way. I think Mom always talked about how, they had the A's in Kansas City, and they always talked about the Chiefs, and that drove her crazy because everybody supported the Chiefs, but nobody supported the A's. So, I mean, that's how she felt about it. But, she just felt like, okay, so they moved to Oakland. And it's just, you hate to see teams move, but I think when you look at everything, regardless of who the owner and whatever he's done, I don't think that it's been I don't think it's been, I think both sides they obviously can't come together, haven't been able to come together for a long, long time, at least 22 years, and they're going to move. And they've been thinking about moving for a long time. It's always been, the A's have always been one that there's always rumors where they were going to go. I think at one point I'd heard, maybe even Nashville, because you're talking about, and then this is the other thing that really gets me. I'm going off my soapbox. Somebody said, well, the A's, they're going to go, and I heard this more than once, yeah, okay, they're going to go to Las Vegas, but Oakland should be an expansion city. They should get another team. Who's going to put a team there? Who's going to want to put a team in that city if you don't have the support of the city? They're going to say, okay, here you go. Here's the Coliseum. Coliseum is falling apart. I just don't get it. It just kind of irked me. The whole, oh, it was so wonderful. No, it's not. It wasn't.
Well, and people got mad at the commissioner, at Manfred, because Manfred said he didn't. Everybody knows there was a snide remark in there, but it was like, oh, that's great that they came out and did that and got what the average attendance is for every other park.
Yeah, right.
They did that once. Wow, they really came together to get that. And I'm with you. If you're that big of an A's fan, you go. It doesn't matter. But see, that tells me that the people who aren't going, and we know through all kinds of things, not just sports, but all kinds of things, if you're not winning, they're not interested.
Right. That's true.
And the A's fans that did this showed us two things. It's not about the team, and it's certainly not about the game for them. They only did that because they want to try to make the A's look bad because they just said to heck with it. And they didn't care until the reality of the team moving was right there staring them in the face. And what are you going to do? On the other hand, they did have a great winning streak for a few games there. Those who were involved said it just happened to be that when the A's were on a good winning streak,
oh yeah,
that's when things happen.
Well, and I had made a comment on when this was all going on one of the, I tweeted out about how great this was, and I thought it just really, kind of smells when, the A's are on this winning streak and they do it, and they're like, well, this has been planning, in the planning for a long time. I'm like, no, it hasn't. No, you could do this. You can get this out and do it within a week. You can make T-shirts because they were green and it said sell. It wasn't like it was, it's not going to take you that long to get this kind of thing going. And so it wasn't like, oh, we've been planning this since before. Then, before when? Because if you really want to then do it on opening day.
Right.
Do it with, on, I don't know. It just irked me. I just didn't, I felt like it was just disingenuous of the so-called fans in Oakland.
So we were just talking about a win streak for the A's. How about the Reds? The Reds, as of Sunday, 8 straight games. They beat the Asterix. Mm-hmm. And the question now is, Joey Votto, set to come off of the IL. Will they continue the win streak once he comes back?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would have to say it's probably a pretty good chance that he will help contribute because he was on the IL. He had a rehab stint, and then he cut that short at the beginning of the season. And then he did a second rehab stint that went really well. And I can't even imagine the ovation that he will get when he comes back to Cincy.
A couple of series that piqued my interest coming up this week. One of them, the Orioles versus the Rays. The Orioles are like about 5 games behind, and they're still got a 62% winning percentage. They are third now behind the Rays and the Braves in MLB. But they very well could be actually, and they're also behind Texas. Sorry. So they're fourth overall, but still, the AL East is a beast. Everybody's at least 3 games or more over 500 there, and then even the West has 4 teams at 500 or better. But that the Orioles versus the Rays, the Orioles win, they could cut down the lead to just a game. Actually, you figure for every game that they win over a 3-game set, so they could actually move into first place if they were to sweep the Rays.
Ooh.
That being one of the game series. I mean,
yeah, that's going to be a good one. One that I was thinking that this is a weekend series is Diamondbacks and Giants. At least for
the Diamondbacks have just been crazy, and I would say that the Diamondbacks have the Rookie of the Year you brought up earlier.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll. I think he definitely has surpassed Outman in that. Well,
he's
running.
Been consistent all season long.
Yeah,
and is really helping push that. Some great pitching for them. Zach Gallen has been right on top of it. So that they're like 5th overall in baseball. As far as the overall standings go, and they definitely would. They're number 2 behind the Braves. So right now they would get those two would get the bye week, bye games, bye series, however you want to look at it. The other one also includes the Giants, the Padres.
And yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And, if the Padres can beat them, depending on what the Dodgers do, the Padres are close enough to the Dodgers that they could get, closer. Right now, they're 4 games behind them. So even winning 3, they're going to have to, because they're 5 behind the Giants in the standings. They're going to have to, to sweep them. But that could really put it in and make that group very interesting. And, we know that the Dodger fans are not fans of either of those teams. So who do you end up rooting for?
That's a tough one, but I mean, I don't know. I guess you root for, I was going to say the Giants, but, but then you look at the standings and think, well, but if I root for the Padres and they can help, knock the Giants, but then where are the Dodgers? And the Dodgers aren't in a great position, so they have to do their job. So I really don't want to root for either of them.
Right. What I would say is that I think I'd rather go with the Giants. The Giants may still slip and fall. I think the Drags, still below 500. They really, you don't want them to get fired up and think they can do anything. We're at the All-Star break. I think we're at officially the point that you got to fish or cut bait. Mm-hmm. You got to go all in, determine what you're going to try to do to make some trades or whatever, and start and definitely put the gas down. And hopefully for like the Dodgers, the Angels, they start the second half strong. And hopefully all of those guys that we've been talking about coming back will finally get off of the wheel.
All right. Sean Murphy now. He's, I guess, kind of sitting on the wheel. He's listed right now as day-to-day because he is dealing with a hamstring injury. But for them to call up a catcher from AAA makes you think he's probably on the wheel. But right now he's listed as day-to-day. Tanner Houck of the Red Sox is on the IL. He will undergo surgery to repair the fracture that he suffered to his face after being hit by a line drive in the Friday game against the Yankees. Patrick Wisdom of the Cubs is on the 10-day IL with a sprained right wrist. Mike Clevenger, as we mentioned, playing against the Dodgers, had that bicep, felt something in his bicep. He is now on the 15-day IL with the bicep strain. Jan Makata of the White Sox is on the 10-day IL. He's dealing with a back injury. Hunter Green got hip pain and is on the 15-day IL. Now this one, Tristan McKenzie of the Guardians, I think it was Zach Plesac who was DFA'd to make room for Tristan McKenzie. He's on the 15-day IL with elbow pain. He was placed on the IL because he has a strained UCL, which is never good.
Didn't he just come off the IL?
Yes, he missed the first 2 months of the season with a shoulder strain. He did see the team doctor, and he told him, you don't need to throw for an extended period of time. He decided that he wanted to get a second opinion, which he is doing. The Guardian said, yeah, that's fine. But, he's always been viewed as a potential ace for Cleveland, but he has a lot of injuries throughout his career. And this one could possibly, lead to Tommy John.
Right.
Lance McCullers Jr., who has not pitched at all this season, he was moved to the 16-day IL. He's out for the season. He underwent surgery to repair a flexor tendon and remove of a bone spur in his right arm. Zach Neto is on the 10-day IL with an oblique strain. Anthony Rendon, as we mentioned.
Oh, what?
Oblique strain?
Who was that?
Zach Neto? Zeto?
Oh, yeah, Zeto. I have a song for Zach's oblique strain.
All right. Would you like me to let you perform it now or
Yes.
at the end?
No, I should do it now while Zeto is still in our head.
All right.
And I have to do the oblique songs when the obliques
That
come
is
up.
true. I know I snuck that one by you.
And I did this one. Well, you know what the thing is that I was looking at something connected to what we're going to talk about after the week.
Okay.
And I specifically thought about this song, wrote it out, and just bear with me for a second. There's a player we know. His name's Zach Neto, and he's playing shortstop for the Angels. During warm-ups, he gets a cramp by his ribs, but it seems like it's nothing to speak of. But it's worse than it seems, a strain of some extremes. So he's scratched before the first pitch can be thrown. Oh, bleak. Oh, bleak. Oh, bleak. And he's riding the wheel of IL.
Wow, that was impressive. Oh,
Carry on.
wow. No, that was great.
Have to put that on the greatest oblique songs album.
Yes. As we mentioned already, a place that he knows and loves, Anthony Rendon on the IL with wrist inflammation. They said he may be in the Freeway Series. I don't know. We'll see. Now this one's tough. Gio Urshela is on the 10-day IL with a left pelvis fracture.
So's his cousin Gio Urshela. They both have the exact same.
Yes. What did I say?
Urshela.
I thought I said Urshela. I tried really hard to
Urshela.
say Gio Urshela, which I was pretty sure in my mind. I thought I said Urshela, but it came out Urshela, I guess. But anyway,
no,
he
you
has
said
a left.
Urshela. It's Urshela.
I'm so confused. I don't know. Left pelvis fracture for him. I'm going to go look at Baseball Reference and their.
Urshela.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
Ursula is the bad guy or the bad lady in Little Mermaid.
Right.
Now.
That's
Ursula
true.
is
Yeah.
Urshela.
I will work on that. Okay. But anyway, Chris Taylor is listed as day-to-day with sore right knee. Max Muncy is on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain, and that was one where they were kind of watching it, seeing where it would go, and eventually he just ended up on the IL. Scott Alexander is the Giants is on the 15-day IL with a hamstring injury. That actually happened. I think it was in Sunday's game. They took him out. Alex Cobb is on the 15-day IL with a left oblique strain.
Oblique, oblique, oblique. Oh, my side. Oh, my side. Oh.
And Mitch Haniger, who was playing really well for the Giants, he is on the 10-day IL. He underwent surgery to repair a fractured right forearm, but he is expected to miss 10 weeks. And that's it for the wheel of IL.
All right. Got a couple things to look at coming up. And it really all revolves around the All-Star game. We still have voting going on. Before we get to that and kind of take a look at who's kind of leading some things, the draft will also be happening. And there are going to be, just by watching, a few names that we will know if you've been watching the College World Series. There's some guys there that are going to get drafted and potentially going to have an impact, as soon as they are, and could make it real quick up to the bigs. For a couple of them, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, some of these guys like Zetto, who was in last year's World Series, will find their ways up by next season. We may be talking about them.
Yep.
All right. So almost done with phase one of the of voting. In fact, today, Thursday, is the last day for that. Things are going to change from there. Top vote getter. Do you know who that is?
I do. Ronald Acuna Jr.
MVP candidate and top. And then number two?
Shohei Ohtani.
Yes, and that's not a surprise. Actually, on either of them, it's not really a surprise. Once we get to that, phase one ended today at noon Eastern time. So you're done there. It's going to be now. How's phase two work out on that? The All-Star Game's on July 11th up in Seattle at the Kingdom. How's the second phase work?
So in phase two, fans will get to vote between the top 2 or 6 in case of the outfield spots. So the top 2 vote getters or the 6 top vote getters, they get to pick the starting player at each position in both leagues. And that will be a shorter time frame because phase 2 ends on June 29th. At noon Eastern. So make sure you know your time zones because you don't want to be like me. I'm in the mountains. Oh, I have until noon. Nope. I don't have until noon. I have until, that's right. I have until 10. And then the winners will be revealed that same day on the 29th.
Voting for that starts on Monday.
Yeah.
So you got the weekend to sit there and think about it. And you'll already know who the top 2 in each one. I'm sure there'll be things, advertisements and everything during games, and MLB will be hitting social media with all that stuff. Right now, you'd look at Vladdy Jr. and Yandy Diaz from the Rays. So it's all rhyming. The Jays and the Rays would be the top 2 in the American League for first base. Simeon and Whit Merrifield from the Rangers and the Blue Jays, with Tiny coming up in third, and surprisingly, Brandon Drury.
Yeah,
grabbing a fair amount of votes. He's about half, just a little over half of what Tiny's got going on, but it's cool to see him on there and getting some votes at second base. Third base, Runaway, Anthony Rendon is by far not going to be an all-star. But it does look like at this point, Matt Chapman probably will be. Josh Young of the Rangers with a lot of votes. The both of them approaching 1 million votes during this. At the time, we're not sure what the total votes are. Bo Bichette, who is AL MVP candidate, has more hits than anybody else in Major League Baseball right now at shortstop. Even beating out he at the time we're recording this, over 1 million votes, 1.5 million.
Crazy.
Corey Seager behind him, and almost double what Wander Franco. And you would think Wander would be up there. How he's been. Surprisingly, in the top 5, Zetto.
Yeah. So that's good. Outfield, it's the top 6. So it's Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, Randy Arozarena, Yordan Alvarez, Kevin Kiermaier, George Springer.
I think Kiermaier is a little bit of a surprise there to me. He's been playing well.
He has been, yeah. But that's probably out of all of those names, he'd be the surprise for me.
And then behind the plate, not a surprise here, Adley Rutschman from the Orioles. And then another one that I'm always amazed, having seen him play versus the Angels, Sal Perez. Great throw to get Ohtani out. In Sunday's game. It was just textbook. That's how great he popped up, made the throw, perfectly placed, and Ohtani was out. Those are the two there. And then of course, when we look at designated hitter, Shohei.
He's close to 2 million votes. Right. And the next guy, Brandon Belt of the Blue Jays, 497,887. Like I said, this is at the time of recording. Not even close to Ohtani.
No, not even. Quick look at the National League, top 2 at first base. Not surprised by this, and over 1 million votes. He's actually up there in Ohtani territory.
He is. That would be Mr. Freeman of the Dodgers. And his counterpart that took his place in Atlanta is number 2, and that's Matt Olson.
And he doesn't even have half the votes.
No, he doesn't have half the votes. That's crazy. But Freddie, the way he's been playing, he deserves it. Second base, I don't think this is a surprise. Luis Ariz with little over 1 million votes, and then Ozzie Albies in second. And even this surprised me, Miguel Vargas with some votes in that one.
All right, the next one, I have to say, third base is more off of name recognition, because this guy, who's won Gold Gloves and a Platinum Glove a couple of times, has been horrendous defensively this year. And not even like in compared to the past, because the bar's really high. He's just been bad. He's had some good games, but it's part of the reason why the Cardinals are at the bottom of their division. And Nolan Arenado with almost 1 million votes. Austin Riley out of the Braves. Those two guys. I was actually surprised. Manny Machado, I know he's been injured, but he's not even, he's at 5th. Max Muncy's in front of him, a couple 100,000 ahead of him even. So.
Yeah, in this one, if Arenado does go, it would be his 5th time. Austin Riley has never gone. So if you're looking to, vote for somebody that defensively has been really good, Not sure about at the plate. I'd have to look at that, those stats, but he usually is, not bad.
Last year he was fantastic at the plate.
Yeah. So, if you want to go over somebody who's never been there, vote for Riley. Shortstop is the Braves' Orlando Arcia with a little over 1 million votes. And Francisco Lindor is number 2, and he, is like half of the votes for him. So Trey Turner, number 5, Matt McClain of the Reds is in there deservingly because he's been really good this year.
McClain, Steer. I wouldn't even be surprised if they did a write-in if Ellie De La Cruz didn't see some love on there. We move to the outfield, and of course we already talked about leading vote getter. Over 2 million votes at this point, Ronald Acuna Jr., followed by Mookie Betts, who came out with a big announcement. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear the announcement. What was it?
He's voted in to the All-Star game. He's going to participate in the Home Run Derby.
Oh, that's right. I did think I saw that. I have to say, and I didn't say it during the Dodgers segment, but the way the Dodgers have been playing, I still watch the games, here and there. Sometimes I just turn it off, like on the 15-0 game, 15-0 game. But I really have been focusing all of my attention on Omaha just because of the way the Dodgers have been playing. So I missed that one, but that's right. Yeah. Home Run Derby.
Guy we just talked about, and Mookie's over 1 million. Corbin Carroll is in the top 3 there. We mentioned Yuli Gurriel, his brother, has been playing for the D-backs. He left. Where was Lourdes? Was in Toronto last year.
Yeah, he was a Blue Jay, and now he's
part of the success there in Arizona. Not real sure how this one works. Juan Soto.
I know.
I think it's a name thing again.
It is. It's a name thing. You also have, and then Fernando Tatis Jr. Rounds it out. It's number 6. But even number 9, I mean, he's not going to get anywhere. Marcelo Ozuna, really? Who's voting for him?
It's got to be the Braves. The
they
Braves
must.
thing. Castellanos. If you take what he did last year, I haven't really seen a lot of what the Phillies have done. I mean, he's done with the Phillies this year. I know the Phillies have had issues, but they had issues last year and then turn it around. But, at this point, the top 2 that we're telling you about are the ones that are probably going to be showing up for you to vote for on Monday. It's interesting, though, to see who's on there. Talking about catchers, we mentioned Will Smith earlier in the show, and we've also talked about him on the on our Twitter feed. And I don't know, maybe you did it on Facebook and Instagram as well, but Will Smith is number 2, right behind guy we just talked about, Sean Murphy.
Yep, Sean Murphy. And then number 3, you have JT Realmuto, the Mets, Francisco Alvarez, and even the Rockies, Elias Diaz got some votes in there at number 5. So when you're looking at these position players for catcher, first base, second base, third base, the infield, it's the top 2 players. It's only the outfield that's the top 6. And then designated hitter, JD Martinez, number 1, with Bryce Harper at number 2. And they're probably the closest. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at it that way.
So,
yeah.
And a lot of times this here doesn't, they get into the final 2 and then sometimes it flips. It looked like one guy was running away with it. And then the way that a team pushes their player or whatever, I think we noticed it too. San Diego and Seattle pushing their guys out there.
They teamed up.
for the All-Star campaign.
But I don't know how well it's working because we see Padres, but I didn't see very many Mariners. So
I'm going back to look. I didn't remember seeing or hearing a single Mariner in the top 5 of the voting.
Is San Diego fans, are they holding up their end of the bargain? And I say no.
Ty France.
Okay, so
Number
that's
5
it.
at first base.
That's
so
it,
there's that,
right.
But you got Soto and Bogarts and Tatis Jr. are all in there. So if you're supposed to be voting for the Mariners, Dreg fans, what are you doing? You're slacking. And Mariners fans, you're doing a good job of helping the Padres get in there. We wish you would stop.
Yes, please stop.
Just stop voting for them. Only vote for your players.
Yeah, just vote for your players, but vote for Will Smith for the National League catcher because he deserves to go. Freddie Freeman, of course, at first base. I think that's a no-brainer. But Will Smith, that's our guy.
So that's it. Just still have some voting to do. We'll be able to talk more about it, next week. And we'll see where everything is the week after. Next week, remember, we got a bunch to cover next week.
We got a bunch because we have, not only will we have the wrap up of Omaha, we also have our fashion report. We'll be back for the Pittsburgh Pirates City Connect uniforms. I am excited. I cannot wait to see what they look like. They will be debuted tomorrow. And it's going to be, I'm just excited to see how they are going to be described. That's always my favorite part. Because if what we talked about last week, the picture, the leak, if that is the case, blah. They are just blah. But we'll talk about it in our fashion report.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the tarp on the field, turn off the microphones. For some of you are probably going, thank God. If I have to listen to another oblique song, that guy just likes singing about obliques. Sorry, I had a Gaffigan moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were channeling Jim Gaffigan.
Yes, I was channeling Jim Gaffigan. So anyway, we're going to do that, and like I said, we'll be back next week. Remember to catch us on our social media, Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Go to our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Check out the Fanatics link. You can buy the 4th of July hats. And the Dodgers hat looks kind of cool. It's like black.
Yeah.
The 4th of July.
The 4th of July hats are out. And also, I believe the All-Star hats are also out, or they have been released, at least the pictures. Some, I think they look kind of cool. They kind of got a mountain on the side, look, anyway, we'll post
that's
them.
That's not a mountain. That's the Kingdom. That's the stadium.
Okay. That's right.
Because they're playing in the Kingdom, right?
Yeah, no, T-Mobile Park.
They called the Kingdom T-Mobile Park now? Because now, isn't Candlestick now known as Oracle or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, it is. But you can go click on the Fanatics link. You're going to find some cool stuff. The 4th of July hats are there. And like you said, the Dodgers hat looks pretty sharp. And not only will be getting cool gear, because you'll be able to get the 4th of July hats, but you also be able to get the winner of the national champs of the College World Series. That gear will be there too. And you will be supporting us, which we really appreciate.
Indeed. So we will catch you next week right here on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Don't forget to swing away.